Senator Barnett.
Thank you, Mr President. My question is to the Minister for Broadband Communications and the Digital Economy, Senator Conroy. What is the dollar value of the equity contribution being provided by the federal government to the Tasmanian NBN company this financial year and over the life of the project? What take-up assumptions has the government based its equity contribution on, or is the Tasmanian Premier Bartlett correct when he says the take-up rate doesn't matter?
Minister for Broadband Communications and the Digital Economy, Senator Conroy.
Thank you, Mr President. I thank Senator Barnett for his ongoing support for the national broadband network being rolled out in Tasmania, as I previously mentioned. As we've made clear, the rollout will connect 200,000 homes, businesses, schools and hospitals in Tasmania, with optic fibre capable of delivering speeds of 100 megabits per second. And to take the interjection from my colleague Senator Rabetz, we've said it's between a 4 to 5 year rollout. But in terms of the first connections and the first services to be provided, we've said that will be by, I think, July next year. So I don't think I can be clearer than that. Senator Rabetz. But to return to Senator Barnett's question, I don't want to get involved in
address the Chair.
Thank you, Mr President. I don't want to get involved in Tasmanian Liberal factional politics. But it's clear from Senator Barnett's questions that he's chosen to believe a number of—
Order.
Well,
Order.
I'm not involved in yours in South Australia,
Senator
Senator
Conroy,
Ferguson.
ignore the interjections. I'll call you when there's silence. You can continue your answer.
Thank you.
Senator
Tasmania, Mr President, currently has the lowest proportion of households with broadband of any state or territory, 39%. That's the legacy of those opposite. That's the legacy of those Tasmanian senators opposite, Mr President.
Order. Resume your seat. Senator Barnett.
Yes, point of order, Mr President. It relates to the standing orders regarding relevance. I've asked two questions. They're quite specific. They relate to the equity contribution and the take-up assumptions by the government. He hasn't addressed either of those questions. I'd ask you to draw his attention to the question.
Order. Senator Ludwig.
Thank you. On the point of order. What we now have on the point of order is the opposition restating their question again rather than going to the substance of the issue. The minister has over half a minute left to provide an answer to the question. Again, we're in this position. Again, we're in this position where the opposition are jumping up midway through the answer to the question, and arguing that it's not directly relevant. My submission is that the minister is being directly relevant to the question, and that there is sufficient time to continue to be directly relevant to the question and provide all of the information that the opposition have asked.
Senator Conroy, there are 34 seconds remaining in your time to answer the question. I draw your attention to the question that was asked by Senator Barnett.
Thank you, Mr President. Let me be clear. The Tasmanian government and the national government's broadband rollout in Tasmania is currently the subject of a tender process. We're actually seeking to purchase the fibre. Now, depending on the outcome of a live tender, we will then be able to potentially answer all of that question. There are many other parts of the rollout. There are many other parts of the rollout still yet to be tendered
Order.
for.
Your time,
so the sort of
order.
speculation—
Your time has expired, Senator Conroy. Senator Barnett.
Yes, Mr President. I'll have to ask my supplementary question. The minister has clearly refused to answer the first two questions. So I put it through you, Mr President. If the estimates of Tasmanian industry figures are correct and less than 20% of Tasmanian premises will sign up for Tasmanian NBN company services, will the federal taxpayer contribution increase to subsidise the network, or should households be prepared to pay significantly more to access the network?
The Minister.
Thank you. Mr President, that entire question is based on a string of assumptions which are fundamentally incorrect. I mean, it is impossible to answer a question that is based on hypothetical assumptions that were in the newspaper this morning that have got nothing to do with the project. It couldn't be clearer than that. If there's only this take-up, how can one possibly answer a question that's based on a hypothetical, Mr. President? So let me be clear. Tasmania currently has the worst and most expensive broadband in this country. Your legacy. Your legacy. Yours and yours and yours. It's your legacy.
Senator Conroy,
you can put out all the
address
press
the chair.
releases you want. Sorry,
Just address the chair.
So, thank you, Mr. President. I couldn't possibly blame you, though. But those opposite from Tasmania, have left the state of Tasmania in a state of disrepair
Senator
when
Conroy,
it comes to
your
broadband.
time has expired. Senator Barnett.
Mr. President, my question is to the minister, through you, Mr. President. Given that $90,000 payments to the NBN company directors for their part-time roles, how much will the Tasmanian NBN company directors be paid to oversee a project that looks increasingly like it will not be at all commercially viable?
The minister.
But I'm not even sure, Mr. President, that question is based on hypothetical facts. It's just based on a simple assertion. It's just, it's looking increasingly like it won't pay. You have no basis to make that assertion whatsoever. My understanding, I think, the factual part of your question, my understanding, I believe, I'm happy to come back and add to this, is that the directors of TNBN Co will be paid around $40,000. So I'm not sure that has been absolutely finalised at this point in time, but it's around $40,000. The TNBN Co executive chair, Mr. Doug Campbell, is being paid, I think, $210,000 to be the chair and the CEO. $210,000. So I think that's the factual answer to the rest of your question, which was pure myth and hypothetical and
Senator Conroy,
assertion.
your time has expired.